Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of No More Kids in Scientology. Well, today, guys, make sure you say hi and welcome to the many of Elvis Presley fans that are flocking to our videos and offering a lot of context. Is a community that is very well versed on a lot of facts and a lot of situations because they've been able to study in depth Elvis Presley's family with as much information as has been made available in the public record. And they are offering the context of some of the things that we haven't looked into because we're offering the context of the Scientology angle, which is what is missing from the public record. Starting with the woman that you see right here, Priscilla Presley, and her history with Scientology that dates back very, very, very long time ago. And as you saw, you guys, that newspaper article that really told Priscilla in no uncertain terms whatsoever that he, as a father, did not in any way, shape, or form consent to Lisa being exposed to the scourge of L. Ron Hubbard. That was made very, very, very clear what Elvis did wish for Lisa to have nothing to do with those SOBs. So Priscilla Presley did turn her back on those warnings, and we're going to be showing you how she was choosing to dive headfirst into Scientology against Elvis' explicit wishes. And she did not only disregard the man who shaped her life, but she then became entangled in this hotel cult started by a convicted felon, convicted for fraud felon L. Ron Hubbard, that had no purpose other than to be manipulating and controlling his surrogates, his paid fans. Remember, you have to be a paid fan of L. Ron Hubbard. You have to pay to want to become like L. Ron Hubbard. You pay to do the courses. You pay to do the audits. You pay to so-called do some so-called ethics handlings. And again, if Priscilla was into that, you should have kept your daughter far and away from those people, Priscilla, because kids cannot consent to Scientology, period. There is no defense. There's no like, oh, that's a lot of gray lines here. Let's all play dumb because no. What convicted for fraud felon L. Ron Hubbard put on pieces of paper that all Scientology parents went with, well, it must be okay. Well, it must be really great. Well, we really could religiously interpret this. It's a true betrayal of your parental instincts. And there's been a lot of things that have not been understood about Priscilla's involvement because it's been constantly sanitized by the corporate media. She's been given the full benefit of the doubt. For all these years, she's been very, very adept at sanitizing her image over and over and over. Yet, we have the exact contradiction that stated that the father of Lisa Marie Presley did not consent to have his daughter exposed to Scientology. And we're going to get into, we got a lot to get into, but we're going to get into exactly what Priscilla was doing and really get into the story here, because it was after the death of her ex-husband Elvis in 77. So right before I was born, Priscilla, imagine I wasn't even born and you were already like flocking to Scientology. Her joining Scientology has been known for its popular celebrity. Members came after she spoke with one of the church's most famous members, John Travolta, who had been a member for 2 years before Priscilla joined. Isn't that interesting, Priscilla, that it seems this is giving you were a cloud chaser. You were literally like trying to climb your way up to something. If it wasn't Elvis Presley, then you were on to John Travolta. Oh, John Travolta, what can you do for me? Priscilla brought her daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, in Scientology. And when Lisa Marie gave birth to her second child in 92, she did so following guidelines created by L. Ron Hubbard, founder of Scientology, in complete silence in a calm and supportive environment, as reported by AP News. So the reason we're denouncing all of this dysfunction, you guys, again, for those that are new to this channel, is because of the type of environments that underage children end up in through no fault of their own, through no ability to consent for themselves, and through parents that become sycophants, willing adult surrogates, willing submissive adult surrogates of a convicted felon that is still, as of the year 2024, being pitched as an American bred God, as a so-called American bred God. Imagine what type of idiot you have to be to have the court records of a full-blown felon that was indicted for defrauding people, and then you go, oh, it doesn't matter that he's just a complete and utter fraudster. Let's pretend that in America, we call that a God. Let's pretend we gave birth to a God in America. And again, if all of the adults wanted to really pretend that to be part of their little game, that would have been one thing. But as you will see here from Priscilla, she made this Lisa's full-time caregiving. And it is absolutely unbelievable. Oh, and so for all those people that are going, oh, she really did leave. Well, listen to this. For her part, Priscilla Presley was rumored to have left Scientology after her daughter did, but a representative from Priscilla denied any truth to those rumors to people in 2017. Biographer Suzanne Finstead, who wrote the book Child Bride, The Untold Story of Priscilla Presley, told Dane that Scientology helped Priscilla feel more stable and allowed her to provide an environment of belonging to Lisa Marie in the tumultuous years after her father's passing. So, right here, Priscilla, you wanted to really belong somewhere. You really wanted to be called a celebrity. You were so thirsty to be lauded as such. And your only claim to fame has been to, get close to famous men to see if that just rubs off on you. And in the interest of you fulfilling that fantasy for yourself, you left your underage daughter in indefensible, unthinkable situations that are coming to light. because the sunlight is the best disinfectant for all of this corruption and all of these horrific things. Elvis, listen to this part, Priscilla. Elvis apparently wouldn't have been too impressed with Priscilla and Lisa Marie's connection with Scientology. He stayed away from Scientology like it was a cobra. His friend Lamar Fick revealed to Dame. And after one visit to a Scientology center, Elvis left and reportedly said, F those people. There's no way I'll ever get involved with those sons of B in that group. All they want is my money, unquote, according to Rolling Stone. So you're starting to see, Priscilla, how little of the zero shred of consent you had from Elvis to be using two things that were his property, his own child and the money he made. The two things that Elvis owned that he couldn't control after he left, his money and his child, went to who? To exactly the place he told you not to go. Who has Elvis's money today, Priscilla? How much of Lisa's millions were funneled into these disgusting hotels? Because you should really start, calculating the amount. So you see just how guilty of that you are, guilty of not following what the father of your daughter said to do. So you've been at it for a long, long time. You've been there, bringing Lisa, exposing her, exposing your granddaughters to it. And you feel no shred of remorse, no shred of having done anything wrong. According to you, you're Mary Poppins. According to you, you really want to be a grandma now. Interesting, Priscilla, that now you want to be a grandma, but when you were, a couple decades ago, where your press and your image was being sanitized, you didn't want to be called grandma, right? You didn't like that. You literally didn't want to be called grandma, but now today you do. Today it's very, very convenient for you to come up with that thing, seeing that the public is catching up to all the many, many lies, the many, many people you have put at risk over your own obsession of being relevant, instead of actually doing some work of your own and figuring out how to have your own life. So I'm going to show you another little clip here, you guys, because just so we start understanding how inappropriate this all was. Lisa Marie says that Priscilla dropped her off at Scientology at 2 a.m. Not great, you guys? Let's take a look.
She basically threw me out in the middle of the night. One night I get out. She drove me to the church one night and sort of dumped me off to them. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning and I was in hysterics.
This was when she was 17, when Lisa was 17.
So as a minor, you dropped off Lisa at 2 a.m. And again, you guys, what has been Priscilla's main narrative? Well, Lisa was so crazy. Was Lisa so out of control? Oh, she was such a hard one. Priscilla, does the name Michael Edwards mean anything to you? Because he should. He should mean a lot to you, given that he was your boyfriend, given that he did publish all manner of, now he's calling it embellishment to sell a book. So in 1987, when he wrote Priscilla, Elvis, and Me, he was all about spewing his guts to so-called sell a book. Now today he claims it was an embellishment. But a lot of decades have passed for him to have been able to correct the record. And you know what? He only thought, gee, I really need to correct that record now that I'm getting called out by Lisa, who's no longer here. Rest in peace. But yet people are still being able to attack her and try to soil her name and her reputation in what, it doesn't get worse than that. Just an FYI for you, Priscilla. When you are essayed, this is coming from personal experience, just so you know, just a quick FYI for you. When you are essayed during the ages that Lisa is alleging she was essayed by your then living boyfriend, imagine you spent all of Lisa's formative years projecting that she had a problem, that she was degraded, that she was out ethics, that the problem was her, right? She was the problem. She was the adult in a small body that should have grown up and really gotten her act together. So imagine you are literally here called out by your own daughter for having dropped her off at 2 a.m. What in the literal hell were you thinking? What type of church takes underage children at 17 years old at 2 a.m.? If any of you go to a church, can you really go, oh, let me just call my pastor right now. Oh yeah, you know what? I'm about to drop off my kid. I know it's 2 a.m., but you know what? I'm too inconvenienced and I would really like to dump my child in your so-called church that is operating as a hotel. Really would love to do that. Can you guys hook me up? Because that's what Priscilla Presley was using the hotel. Just gonna drop you off there real quick.
Lisa talks about Priscilla kicking her out of the house, and she stayed at the Scientology Center for 8 months.
Oh, 8 months, Priscilla. You kicked your underage daughter out. Why? Why did that happen? Oh, because she was having a problem? Because she was a problem, right? Lisa is the problem. The underage child is always the problem for the Scientology parents, you guys. So do not get confused. This is not just Priscilla Presley. This is the standard operating procedure that Scientology parents, all of our parents together as a collective decided our children are adults. They're just in a small body. Their body age is utterly irrelevant. Now, take that to the bank, because that's where the Scientology parents took this belief, so-called religious belief. We're all the same. Everyone's the same. So who was really going to be in trouble with that level of depraved so-called religious belief being instituted inside of a disgusting hotel where all kids were being spoken to, treated as if they were adults? Like it already came up, you were handling Lisa on what did she do to pull in. What did you do, Lisa, to pull in this? What did you do? How did this happen to you? Because the Scientology parents purport that if this happens to their child, is their child having this which is an imaginary, delusionary state that the Scientology parents teach you. They go, oh, tutti flow. You're really showing flows out of your body emanating to ensnare other adults. This is the word that they use to euphanize, to never say this word inside of the hotel. In Scientology, you're never going to hear anyone go, oh, this happened. They're going to go out to the, let's handle it. Let's handle it. Start paying a lot of money because we are going to handle this out to the, you have nothing to worry about. The LAPD doesn't give an F. The Clearwater Police Department doesn't give an F. We can do it here inside of our hotel. We can just float it, is what they say. It's going to float. The fact that this happened to your child is going to be floated. Get over it already. You already spoke about it at an audit. Get over it. Or you're going to go back to that audit until you stop complaining about getting this done to you. Until you realize that it was your responsibility to have been this. That's the environment. That's what Lisa was acting out. Oh my God, she's so wild. She's so crazy. Did you get the part where you ignored when she came to you and told you exactly what was going on? Only for you to broker an apology? What type of idiot can anyone be?
Now,
I mean, just look at her age, you guys. Let's literally look at this is what was getting abused. Just an FYI.
when I first heard that, I'm like, oh, Priscilla, come on. But in her defense, playing devil's advocate, it's not easy to raise a kid by yourself, especially if that kid is rebellious. They said that
Right. Because this has been the narrative on Lisa, you guys. Oh, you wouldn't understand it. She was just so rebellious. She was just so. She grew up in an environment where, yes, both of her parents were compromised. Elvis had his own issues. He was very transparent about those. We all know what those issues are. We all know what those demons are. He wasn't pretending to having it all together, a la Priscilla Presley. Because Priscilla always looks like she really has it together, like she really's got it going on, like she couldn't be more demure and she couldn't be more out of touch with reality, which is exactly what the Scientology people molded her into. She paid to be there. Don't get it twisted. She paid to be there. But kids don't just end up rebelling because there's no reason to rebel. But that's what every Scientology parent would love to tell you all about. Oh, look, we have a whole book where we can blame all kinds of things on our children. Here, read it from L. Ron Hubbard. He really figured it out. You have no idea the amount of insults you can hurl at your kids to get them to shut the F up real quick. So, why? Why are you literally following the words of a convicted felon, Priscilla? Why are you nowhere on the public record repudiating what in the hell you done?
Lisa was on cocaine and alcohol, and Priscilla was having a hard time keeping her disciplined and her life together, really.
Yeah, Priscilla, ask yourself, what did you do as the mother, as the neglectful mother that you were? How did you influence Lisa's character? How were you being so out of your mind to be getting the advice of a convicted felon, grooming Lisa to speak the language, the little special code language that you paid to learn inside of that hotel. So for all of you that want to go, the Scientology parents had no clue, you guys, they're poor. BS. They were consenting adults that paid to learn, that paid to be taught a language that they could speak to their kids, a language that no parent should ever speak to their children with. Given the fact that, including but not limited to, just to keep it so simple, stupid, these type of fake words get thrown around to hide this. These type of euphemisms that are completely made up out of a convicted felon's brain, put it on a piece of paper and say, you guys, don't ever say this word inside of the hotel. Just go with this. This applies to anything related. Anything. Could be anything on the subject of sex is just out to D. And all of this in Scientology, they purport to be able to have a technology pitched by the convicted felon to handle it. Handle. So the words matter because, again, this, Priscilla, breaking news to you, is nothing you can handle. You falsely labeling this doesn't make a shred of difference. You subjecting Lisa to audits doesn't make a shred of difference. Doesn't deal with a shred of the trauma. The audit itself becomes the next distractor of the trauma, given that the audits were done inside hotel rooms where children could not say no, where children could not say stop, where children could not say, I want to leave this room. Those three things, just those three things to start with, would land you where? More audit, more you don't get out. More you don't get out. We're going to ask you more disgusting questions. We're going to force you to speak of disgusting, traumatic things that were done to you, literal felonies. We're going to make you believe that you owe us that information about you. You owe it to us. And if you don't want to speak about it, we're going to keep you locked up in this room with these cans, strapped to cans. You cannot move, cannot even move your hands like this, you guys. You have to remain like this. But how was Lisa supposed to get a shred of help by doing that to her? Truly do ask yourself in a mirror, Priscilla. So you really have a confrontation of the facts between you and you, the mother who subjected her child to be handled inside of a hotel that you were very happy to be able to offload your child to.
Lisa says that she had no direction. She felt like she had no purpose, and she was just got caught up in some bad things.
And I wasn't quite.
I mean, again, you guys, Lisa felt she had no direction. I mean, all the signs of trauma, all the signs of neglect, all the signs of Priscilla being the type of deadbeat mother she was. We can say that with certainty, Priscilla. Whatever you did as a Scientology mother, we can call you out exactly for what in the hell you were doing. Whatever before that, I have no idea. But what you did to Lisa as a Scientology mother is getting called out because you've been hiding it. You've been literally sanitizing the narrative with your delusions that, you know, had a lot to do with Lisa's abuse, quite frankly.
Prepared for it. She did dabble in drugs. I was a lost soul for a while. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no purpose in my life. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And
I mean, again, you guys, it's the self-deprecation of Lisa as she was told in that hotel. You're lost, you're so off purpose, you have no idea, you're so degrading, you're so disgusting. And until you showed Scientology that you were willing to replace whatever unhealthy coping mechanisms had developed as a result of unthinkable, horrific trauma, including but not limited to the allegation of Priscilla having her gross, older, alleged boyfriend that was, writing and typing all manner of things in the book. We'll get to that. We'll get to how many inconsistencies are literally being shown on the public record as if you're just supposed to forget anything and pull no shred of string.
Finding myself. Bring home a new guy, they put their foot down.
Lisa says she was dropped off at that Scientology center like 2 a.m, just for some clarification. But at that center, she met Danny Keough. He was a musician there.
Oh, and there you go, you guys.
At that center, she met Danny Keough. Clarification.
This is Karen de la Carriere, which you guys know. She has a channel. So she purports to have been one of those auditors that Lisa was dumped with. So it'd be great to know if you, Karen, missed Lisa's withhold about the essay, or did she tell you everything that happened to her, everything Michael Edwards did to her? Did she tell you that, and did you tell her needle floated and she just forget all about it? Because this is the woman that was supposedly counseling Lisa, which, again, we're pushing back on that fake pitch that anything a convicted felon wrote down on a piece of paper is so-called to counsel anyone. Because for us, it was more traumatizing us, double, triple, quadruple traumatizing us, getting locked up, unable to leave, getting asked disgusting questions by people that were purporting to help us by re-traumatizing us. What type of child gets a shred of help by being re-traumatized? Really do ask yourselves that question.
At that center, she met Danny Keough. He was a musician there.
Oh my God, there's how young she was, you guys. Here's
Danny Keough. He was a musician there.
She basically threw me out in the middle of the night.
There.
She basically threw me out in the middle of the night. One night I
was a musician there.
There you go. Just let this photo of a child bride fully sink in for everybody. This is a child bride. Oh, she was 19? Oh, okay. Okay, Priscilla. She wasn't a child bride then. She was 19. Still so young. Still didn't know what in the hell. Still was set up. Because this man, Danny Keough, was not just a nobody, was not just a nothing burger. He himself was very well high up connected to the Scientology people. So yeah, when they were inside of the hotel with us, you guys, they'd be like, oh my God, Danny and Lisa, they're such a perfect couple, you guys. They're so wonderful. They're really trying to get up a bridge. So this is not about you, Priscilla, making a personal choice. This is about you betraying Elvis's wishes and legacy. This is about you soiling said legacy by ensnaring your underage daughter into something she could not consent, by ensnaring your daughter into something that her own father didn't want her anywhere near, by exposing your daughter to someone who you would have known if you orchestrated an apology. Priscilla, in what world do you really want to claim with your straight face full of Botox and fillers that you can barely move, that you had no idea Oh, I had no idea, no clue. I wasn't told anything. Well, you, Priscilla, should be calling Karen de la Carrier right now and going, did you miss a withhold on my daughter? Or did you pull it all and did you just float it and did you just pretend and force Lisa to pretend that what's here to see? Oh, we handled this. This floated already. Floated. Because Elvis's warnings were ignored. Full blown ignored. He became aware of the manipulation and what these people were after. You didn't become aware of that, right, Priscilla? Because you were looking at, oh, I'm really lonely. Oh, these people really want to help me. Oh, these people tell me I'm a celebrity. That's what Scientology does, you guys. So for all of you that are still confused what Scientology does, that's what they do. They're looking for people of influence that they can sink their claws and fangs into so they can become parasites, so they can wield power by blackmail, wield power by purporting that, oh, we're going to really hook you up with someone that's really going to help you and listen to your deepest, darkest secrets because they're under what obligation? To help the end user. None. None of L. Ron Hubbard's bulletins and policies and bullshit that he wrote for himself has a shred of obligation to help the end user. The only thing that those audits are doing is data mining, getting information, making the kids who got exposed to this believe, well, this must be legit. Well, I must really trust them because they're asking me about my biggest, deepest, darkest secrets, and it's supposed to be really in my best interest to really tell them everything. So these are the levels of manipulation that we are seeing, and this is what is being called out. I see that there's a lot of people here from the chat, you guys. I'm just going through it. If you had any questions on what we discussed, please put it in the chat with capital letters so I can see it quickly. Here we have from Laura Estrada. She needs to be called out, that poor little girl, because she really always seemed eternally sad. Exactly, Laura. And imagine that again. It's like all your sadness was weaponized against you by your Scientology parent. They told you, why are you so downtoned? Why are you so degraded, acting so useless? Like, that's sadism epitomized. What the Scientology parents got from L. Ron Hubbard is how to be full-blown sadists to their kids and call it trying to save a world. Because all the Scientologies would do is put on a show when they're not being watched inside of the hotels. When they're out in the open with the wogs, believe you me, they're very aware to make sure that no one perceives them as anything other than, oh, I really got it together. I'm really doing the best. And it's people like Lisa that reacted to the abuse with trauma responses, with normal trauma responses. I mean, Priscilla, if she was doing cocaine as young as she was, ask yourself the type of parent you were in the situation. It's amazing how Priscilla got temporary custody of the twins when they were little, given so much of the bad mother she was. I mean, again, you guys, the PR smoke and mirrors that surrounds Priscilla is disgusting. I don't think that Riley is aware of the extent of her delusions, of her grandmother delusions, because again, Riley is a third generation Scientologist, just like me. When your grandparents were doing this, when your own parents were doing this, The third generation things, like there's no way we could be in some disgusting scheme. So the third generation is extremely vulnerable. When this has been pitched by your grandparent and your own parent, it's almost nearly impossible to think that your parents could have been that depraved, that out of their mind, that evil. Like there's just almost no room to really hold the fact of how far they took it. Was maybe Priscilla hoping that the handling Rainbow 24 was maybe Priscilla hoping that the handling audit cans, etc., would erase the essay that and knew and was doing damage control? I mean, yes, Rainbow, good point, because that is what it was to get those audits. It was a damage control. And we were told as kids to forget about it. Like your needle floated, we were told it's handled. We have a technology at the hotel where if you literally get this, it just gets handled. And you're supposed to have no more misemotions ever again. You're supposed to not think about it. You're supposed to erase it out of your universe. That's what we were told. Just erase it out of your universe. Come to present time. That was the past. Stop being effect of your reactive mind. So all of that disassociating between kids and what was being done to them in real time, and then projecting back on them that they're deficient in humanity, deficient in normalcy because their nervous system is still in shock, as any child of this level of abuse comes to. Something you cannot control, something you cannot just flip a switch about. But all of that really is taken severely out of context. Cassie's Corners. Wait, can you explain why Priscilla would have anything to do with either Lisa's first marriage? Because Lisa said in her book, Priscilla wanted to break them up. This guy here, Danny Keogh, his whole family was in the president's office and was high ranking in Scientology, you guys. So Priscilla dumped Lisa there at 2 a.m., like we just heard, and said, handle her. And then all of a sudden, what happened with Lisa? As she already told in the book, she got first knocked up and convinced somehow to get you know what, that was a big regret that she expresses, traumatic experience that she expresses. And then she gets, as it is explained in the book, she manages to get knocked up by him. And she thought, oh, maybe if I marry him, I'll have a normal life, which is all that she was looking to have. She wanted to get rid of the circus. She wanted to get rid of the weirdness. She wanted to get, little did she know. And again, all these kids that are so gullible, naive, and susceptible to the amount of schemes that not only the Scientology parents were up to, the handlers at the Scientology hotels were also up to. Priscilla left her there and said, then Lisa was sent to the free winds, to another one of these commercial buildings, floating cathedrals is what the lawyers of Scientology call the literal cruise ship, where Lisa then does go and then does get pregnant and then does have Riley. And those were her best moments. She was at least able to be a mother, and she was not like Priscilla. She was not forcing Scientology on Riley. Riley was exposed to it, but never to the degree that Lisa was exposed to it. Riley did not go up the bridge and do all the disgusting shit. Like, they definitely sunk their fangs on her, but not to the degree that Priscilla was forcing Lisa to do it. Lisa tried to use Scientology a little bit, but she was always kind of skeptical, and she wasn't ever fully into it. And that's what also got all the people in Scientology so mad at her. Because in Scientology, you have to be fully into it. If you're not into it, if you have a single critical thought, you are told that there's something really wrong and disgusting with you. So Danny is still heavy in Scientology. Is Riley? I mean, that's the problem with all of these family lineages getting so enmeshed, you guys. It's very hard. Again, I done it. I cut off my sisters. I cut off my parents. I cut off anyone that had to do with Scientology. I cut out of my life. It's not easy for people to do that. So many of us that have had to come forward figuring it out in therapy that it was disgusting sadistic abuse and that none of us were having a religious experience, have to cut out the people that will tell us, what are you complaining about? There's something wrong with you. You're the problem. You're the issue. You're the one that is not trying to save a world like the rest of us. And that is the biggest reason that these people continue getting ensnared and stuck. What was Priscilla doing when she shipped Lisa off to deal with her trauma? Lisa Marie saw Elvis dead. She needed trauma therapy instead Scientology. I'm actually really disgusted. Well, again, Laura, the problem started with the fact that Lisa had already a very unstable, tumultuous childhood from her dad dealing with so many issues and her mother pretending she had it all together and she had no issues. But we beg to differ, Priscilla. You had severe issues that you were camouflaging by purporting that John Travolta, who really saw a lot in you, a lot of potential money signs, because don't forget, you guys, whoever brings you to the hotel in Scientology, like John Travolta, was looking for a 10% commission. So for all of this, oh, John Travolta really wanted to help the Presleys. He wanted to get the 10% FSM commission, which is what these people get paid. Anytime Lisa could pay for a course, anytime Lisa could pay for an audit, anytime any money was exchanged, the person that brought them in would be made their FSM. So John Travolta, with all the money, with all the fame, with all the resources he had, it was just never enough. And they would get a lot of brownie points, very special points. Oh, look at John Travolta just brought us a big famous fish. Let's give him a lot of special treatment. Let's treat him really nice. Oh my God, John Travolta, so upset you are. And that's what's also really unthinkable. So not only did she have to deal with the death of her father, now we know by the time she became so young, I believe it's 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, she was having to deal with the monster or the alleged monster that Priscilla was all about dating and leaving her daughter with. So what was she doing would be a great question to ask Priscilla. Since she had no career of her own, she had nothing that she ever actually do. Where are your products, Priscilla? Where is your work other than meandering and figuring out how to leverage your situation to help yourself? It's sick. Not TV 22. Riley is trapped in her family's dysfunctionality. provoked by Scientology. They need therapy, not Scientology. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. She's a third generation Scientologist. She's enmeshed. She's got childhood long life friends that she grew up with, that if she denounces Scientology in a serious way, I mean, I'm telling you, this book already is something that Riley did. And yes, there's sanitized actions about it, but there's also things that Riley worked with a publisher and she released it. As far as I can tell from what she's publicly stated, she wasn't checking with any Scientology handler. So I actually applaud her plight in getting her mother's story out there. And she did leave a lot of things that none of this is something that Scientology wanted published. Let's just start with that fact. Scientology wants the truth hidden. Scientology wants no one to hear anything. Scientology wants to gloss up their PR machine with, oh, we really help families here in Scientology. Do you, Scientology? Who exactly do you help? Because we have one of America's most famous families ever, where your literal fingerprints are all over their tragic dysfunction. So they do need therapy. They need to be told that therapists are mandated reporters, and the reason Scientology never wanted us to go to anyone that was a mandated reporter is because that would open up criminal investigations for Scientology. That would open up child services investigations on Scientology. That would open up LAPD investigations on Scientology. All avenues that Scientology has shut close. So why is Scientology so pressed to shut all these avenues closed if they're just saving a world and doing the work of their Lord, convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard? Exactly. Lisa was always seeking normality because she was stuck in this circus of dysfunction with all these people purporting to be helping her, you guys. And all they were doing was invading her privacy and not letting her live her life. She didn't need a bunch of people to tell her how to live her life. She was just trying to live it. And she got enmeshed and totally betrayed. And cousins, I'm so taken aback by the parents. So, under the sway of the cult, making sure they check on the right thing to do from their handlers, not instrumental in their own life. It's so tragic. That's what we're denouncing, and thank you for seeing that dysfunction. Because again, we have 74 years of the scourge of L. Ron Hubbard being falsely pitched as if that man wrote anything that wasn't self-serving for his own maniacal, egocentric reasons. L. Ron Hubbard was very, very pressed to be told he's great and amazing. But you know what? He didn't have a shred of quality like that. So it is beyond tragic. I so agree with you. You would think Danny would cut his family off for how he was treated and how his family was pulling the strings at his and Lisa's expense. Yeah, Cassie, but again, it's like it's very hard for kids that have been groomed since you're a child to listen to your parents, to your Scientology parents, to listen to all of these randoms that give themselves pompous titles inside of a Scientology hotel. I'm the DCOI of ethics and reports. I'm the IJC of inspections and ethics. I'm the Inspector General of all these pompous titles these people gave themselves to, again, people that have no diplomas, no degrees, no reason to be holding titles that are not grounded in reality is what everyone got stuck with. So imagine that Danny couldn't have been more dysfunctional himself, addicted to pills, addicted to alcohol, being completely dysfunctional, a deadbeat dad, did nothing of his life. So it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable that all these kids have been betrayed. Exactly, free translate. Names are one of the most vital pieces to testimony and justice. We can name, stop trying to keep this quiet. That's not what Lisa wanted. She was on her way to take the stand. You guys, Lisa was on her way to take the stand in trial to expose the systemic, institutionalized cover-ups of this inside of those hotels. And just before that happened, oh, rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace. Better luck next lifetime is all the kids that were abused, gaslit, manipulated in the Scientology hotels. So Lisa was wanting to take the stand. She had been provided immunity by the prosecutors to state her testimony. But somehow she never got to even take the stand. Somehow she conveniently, oh yeah, very tragic. Just tragedy hit at the most convenient for Scientology time. That's what's getting called out. How convenient, how lucky, how, oh, it just happened and, you know. So once again, you guys, we are leaving with this call to action to have no more kids in Scientology because they cannot consent. So this goes to you, Riley, if you're raising your child in any way, shape, or literal form by Scientology, double check on that for yourself. Don't follow on your mom's footsteps. Learn from her mistake. Learn from her being groomed as a child to have exposed you to that, because it was never in your best interest to be exposed to that disgusting level of unthinkable dysfunction. You didn't deserve it. Ben didn't deserve it. The twins don't deserve it. None of y'all deserved it. Not a single one of you asked for this. The only ones that were in a position to ask for this are consenting adults that got into this as consenting adults. So we need to continue to advocate for this level of utter nonsense to end once and for all. This level of utter corruption, of utter lawlessness. Because the facts could not be more clear. America didn't all of a sudden bred some American bred God that no one knew about L. Ron Hubbard was convicted of fraud and then ran away to his ship where he was utilizing underage children, including a 12-year-old Shelley Miscavige, to role play as a slave for him. So imagine that America goes with the pitch. Slavery was abolished, you guys, but just kidding. The American bred God you didn't know existed that brought back slavery to the modern times. As of the year 2024, America is still going with the pitch. If you ensnare your child in Scientology, if your child is expected to role play as a slave for grown adult men and women that want to be called sir, they don't want to be called by their name, they want to be called sir or Mr. Miscavige, Mr. Rathbun, because that's the fake hierarchies that thrive inside of these hotels. Unhinged degenerates that role play wearing fake military uniforms, that they themselves are saving the world, that they themselves are so important, that they themselves completed a 2-week course pitched by a convicted felon, and all of a sudden, they don't need to know how the law applies because they have a law inside of those hotels. They have committees of evidence, courts of ethics, all manner of highly illegal bullshit. Doesn't pass the smell test whatsoever. It's a rigged system where the only one that is winning is Scientology Inc. all the time. It's a rigged casino from hell. But apparently it's also a very religious place. For whatever adults want to claim that, today would be a great day for you to double check on that delusion. Because in order for this to end, in order for no more children to be abused, the highly sanitized delusion of what's been put on the public record needs to be confronted on its face. The full extent of what's been done to American children and foreign children that have been brought to America to role play, including but not limited to as slaves inside of a hotel, that the LAPD is perfectly available, and I'm fully aware that there's children up to their neck and ears. None of these Scientology hotels operate without kids. They don't. They would have to shut down. Oh, we don't have enough maids. We don't have enough ethics officers. We don't have enough people to do the disgusting grooming courses to really teach the adults. Because that's how it's normalized, you guys. As you enter the hotel, there's children over there. There's children over there. There's minors over there. Everybody's bringing their minors. Minors that are getting the courses, getting the audits, delivering the audits, giving the courses. It's all just normalized with the optics of the degenerate dysfunction that is playing out 24/7, 365 inside these commercial buildings where they purport they don't have to follow the law. They are above the law. Their law is L. Ron Hubbard, not the LAPD. They couldn't give an F about the LAPD. They couldn't give an F about the Clearwater Police Department. They couldn't think they're more stupid and willful idiots for them. Scientology just goes, we pay you. We pay you to defend us. So go do our dirty bidding. Go, 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 go. Report back when it's done. What are you guys talking about? Hey, you guys. Hmm. Okay, great. Well, this is all we're gonna do for today, you guys. Leave your questions in the comments. Please hit the like and subscribe. Help us get to 15,000 followers so we can continue to demand accountability together, to continue to demand that no more kids get exposed to Scientology, period, full stop. That can end today. We don't need the IRS to tell the Scientology parents to stop. We don't need the Homeland Security to tell the Scientology to stop. We can tell those parents that they need to stop. We can tell Priscilla Presley, this is your job now, Priscilla. You want to make amends? Use your platform. You want to make amends? Come clean. You want to make amends? Stop all kids from being abused inside of there. Use your mistakes as the blueprint of what not to do. Use your platform, your fame that you've spent your entire life chasing after. Use that to denounce this disgusting abuse. Because then we would be like, oh, damn, look, Priscilla actually knows how to get her ethics in. You were told at that hotel how to get your ethics in. That's how you get your ethics in, Priscilla, by making amends, by repenting to what you did to Lisa, by repenting that you got Riley and Ben and the twins ensnared. Show that you have remorse. Show that you have an emotion. Show that you can grieve. Show that you're not just a robot and a drone that L. Ron Hubbard controls from wherever the hell planet he's in, controlling you. Because that's all we see on the public record. You being a drone, you being full of plastic surgery, you being completely inauthentic. Lisa had called you out so many times already. She was already so fed up with you, except you always shamed her and made her think that it was her that had the problem. Well, today, Priscilla Presley, we are pointing the finger right at you. You were the problem. You got everyone ensnared. You undo it. I thank you guys all for watching. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.